Well, hey guys, you join me back on with the Triumph Spitfire project, and the weather in the UK at the moment is absolutely atrocious. So John's kindly lent me his garage so I can actually work on the car, and today I'm going to be changing the heater valve on the car because at some point in this car's life somebody's fitted a TR6 heater valve, and the problem I've got is that when you actually pull the heater to turn it on to go into the heater matrix, the whole valve turns as you pull on the valve and push it off. So I'm not getting any heat into the heater matrix and therefore not getting any heat into the cabin. Now this is obviously frustrating in bad weather, so I'm going to rectify that with actually replacing it with this new Triumph Spitfire heater valve which I got from David Mannis Group. So let's get the old one off and the new one fitted. Now then, it's a pretty straightforward job to do this. So firstly, just get a drip tray underneath for any excess coolant that's going to come out when we take the old heater valve off, and then we start taking this old heater valve off and replacing it with the new one. Before we begin, it's just good practice just to disconnect the battery because we're going to be working very close to the starter solenoid, so we don't want to spark anything. So as we can see, this heater valve isn't exactly correct for the car, and the problem with it is obviously it can move around all over the place and it puts quite a bit of stress on this heater hose. So I have got the correct Spitfire heater hose to fit for when we fit the new heater valve. So we'll start to remove this heater valve off, and firstly just get rid of the cable for the heater valve. So just take off the little clamp there and the little trunnion for the heater control valve. And then just move that cable over just out the way and the little trunnion up there. And then just get rid of this hose here. Now we can cut this hose because I'm replacing this with a new one, so I'm not too worried if this hose doesn't want to play ball. I think we'll just cut it straight off, and there's a bit of coolant just coming out there straight away. Now I've obviously driven my car up to John, so there's still a little bit of pressure down the lines, but the engine has cooled down quite a bit. There we are. There's a bit of coolant coming out as we expect. And just take the other Jubilee clip off. Now this little hose I want to try and save. I have got another little bit of hose if it doesn't want to play ball. I've got these nice slip grip pliers and they work wonders, usually with rubber, if it's going to play ball with me. There we go. And there we go. Yeah, that does look like a TR6 heater valve there. It's all threaded that end. And just, whoops, over the engine. And just a ordinary sort of hose connection that end. So it'll make a good spare, I suppose, for my own spares cabinet. But it's not the correct one for a Spitfire. Now then, we'll get rid of the old Jubilee clip and replace it with a brand new one, as the old one is a bit past it, and fit the new heater valve. Now these come in two parts, and there's a little O-ring seal just here that goes in there, and that just needs to be just pinched up just a little bit, not too much, you know, it's just got to be nicely squashed in there so it seals the coolant. And if we just put that together now, before we connect it all. And then we just want to pinch this up moderately tight, just to compress it together. It's not going to be hugely tight, just a nice little pinch like that should just be enough. And while we've got access to the cable, may as well just put that in place. A little trunnion, we'll just put that in first. And then get everything nicely in place. Just have to undo that little securing screw a little bit, just so it goes through. And then pull it out so it's fully open. There. And that way it's in the same position as what it is inside the car. So when I pull the cord in the car, it'll pull back that way and open up the valve. And that's the cable nicely secured in place. And then we can put the new heater valve. Just move this wiring out the way. We don't want any wiring fouling the heater valve, so it's time to have a quick little think about where all the cabling is routed. I think it'll be fine just underneath. So just put it in place there. We've got two locking washers to go in place and two nuts. Let's go on the end of the bolts that we just put in place. Right, and then that nice new Jubilee clip can come up. It's a little bit big at the moment, so we'll just turn it down on its size. There we are. And then lastly, get rid of this little hose, and I expect more coolant is going to come out. As I said, I'm not too worried about cutting this coolant hose because we've got a new one. I just cut it and get rid of it. We just put a new Jubilee, well, it's the original style of Jubilee clip on the end there first. And a little bit of red rubber grease always goes really well on coolant hoses, just to help them go down to where they need to go. So that's that there. quickly get it off. And there we go. Wasn't that much coolant coming out. So my pipe's a little bit rotten down here, which does mean that this pipe's not quite going to go into the right position, so I might have to just check the routing of it. I think we'll go in front of this cable for the time being. An original style clip up there. Yeah, I think that will do. Yeah, the Jubilee drive is not going to work on that. Well, it might do if I just change the socket size over. And there we are, job done. Just need to top up the coolant and pull on the heater valve, bleed the system, and then we should have a good working heater tap on the Spitfire project. So I've just left the radiator cap loose on top of the radiator, and the next step is going to be just to pull out the heater valve so that way water can circulate around the heater matrix. And then what we'll do is we'll open up these garage doors, start it up, and just let the water circulate its way around the cooling system and let the car just warm itself up and take out all of the air out of the system. Quite well. I'll just check the heater in the cab. And yeah, that's coming through nice and warm, so I'd say that's job done. Well, I'm really pleased with how well this job went, and changing something like the heater valve on this car is going to make a big difference to the actual driving experience, especially on a cold day like today where it's a little bit cold and you need a bit of heat inside the cockpit. So do consider subscribing to my channel if you like the content that I produce, because it does make a big difference to the channel. As always, leave a comment in the box down below, and if you like my content, give it the thumbs up. But as always guys, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.